Firefighters pulled the two out of that home, but sadly, it would prove to be too late. We're told there were no working smoke detectors inside that home. News 8's Jeff Vallon live outside of the house with more on what has been a shock to that neighborhood. Jeff?
Well, good afternoon, Keith. The neighbors tell me the mother and daughter who died here kept pretty much to themselves, but not because they were antisocial. No, rather because of a terrible burden that they shared.
She was a very, very dedicated mom, and her life was her daughter.
A neighbor describes the single mom 2 doors down Vineyard Avenue who died along with her daughter when their house went up in flames early Thursday morning.
It was pretty engulfed. I mean, there was smoke pouring out. Fire was hitting probably. It was just, you couldn't tell what house was on fire. That's how much was pouring out.
One was transported to Hartford Hospital. The other was pronounced here on the scene.
Just like that, 2 longtime residents gone. Neighbors were familiar with the mom in her early 40s and daughter in her late teens, but knew little about them.
Oh, it was just a mother and daughter that lived there, and the daughter was autistic.
Turning the mother into a solo 24-hour caregiver. Knowing what they did, neighbors pitched in, cutting grass and shoveling snow.
It was very difficult for her. High and by, wave, they really just kept to themselves.
As far as I know, the husband left them early on.
To a daughter whose needs, some thought, might require her to live in a specialized home.
I think that was suggested to her, but she said, no way, that's my daughter. They stuck together, and that was her life.
And as they lived, cruel blessing though it is, a mother and daughter died inseparable.
I don't know if one could have lived without the other, so as sad as it is, if they died together, they're together.
The victims have not been identified. The Newington fire marshal tells me he found no smoke detectors in the home, and none were sounding when the firefighters arrived here about 1:45 this morning. The state fire marshal is still working to determine what caused the fire. We're live on the scene in Newington. Jeff Vallon, News 8.